Absolutely. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. No, I'm not Patrick Tam. He did not get a haircut, and he did not get 10 years older. Patrick is joining us from the beautiful city of Las Vegas this evening. So he's on the screen. He's out there for a convention, so he says. But Patrick, welcome via Teams tonight.
Thank you.
A couple of things before we kick off the official agenda. Just want to thank the city of Westfield and Mayor Willis for hosting an incredible event this morning at the Bridgewater Club in celebration of Veterans Day. I was not able to attend the first event last year, but I was there this morning, and it was a huge crowd. It was really standing room only, and it was a great celebration to recognize and honor our veterans who are currently serving and those veterans who served in the past. So just by a show of hands, I'd like you to stand if we have any veterans in the room this evening. Any veterans? Thank you for your years of service to our country and your sacrifices to our country. It's greatly appreciated. The second thing I'd like to announce is that today is my 35th wedding anniversary, and my wife is really happy that I'm not with her. Just if my wife is watching from home, happy anniversary. Love you very much. All right, could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ask you to still stand. This evening we had an invocation by Pastor John Lowe from the North Circle Church, but unfortunately he had to back out at the last minute. So we are very pleased to have Marla Ayler provide the invocation for this evening.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you filled with gratitude and humbled by our freedom, because we know that freedom isn't free. On this Veterans Day, Lord, bless all those who wear a uniform, who serve our cities, our nation, and our community. Bless their families, those they love, and those who do now and who have ever loved a veteran. God, you are the one who looks down deep inside all of us. You see and know what others do not, and you carry the painful burdens of each one of us. Father, we ask you to heal those who are hurt and broken, and we thank you for sharing with us what we cannot bear alone. Father, we ask your blessing on the people who have been called to lead our community and those who have been chosen to protect and serve. We ask for your intervention and for those who need your guidance and support. Lord, as we begin to take steps toward our purpose this evening, guide our thoughts and actions so that we perform our work with purpose and fulfill our duties joyfully. Open our eyes and hearts to the direction you want us to take, because your ways are higher than ours and your plans are greater. Father, nothing is impossible without you. Nothing is possible without you. And we ask that you lead us every step of the way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Marla, I think you have a future as a pastor. I'm going to turn it back over to you to note the presence of a quorum.
Kurt Waninger.
Here.
John Dart.
Here.
Joe Deppner.
Here.
Noah Herron.
Here.
Chad Huff.
Here.
Victor McCarty.
Here.
Patrick Tam.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. There are no changes to the agenda this evening, so I'd like to move on to the approval of the minutes from our city council meeting on October 28th. So I wanted to open it up for any questions to the council about the minutes from that meeting. If we don't have any questions, I'd like a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Second.
So we have a motion to approve by Councilor McCarty and a second by Counselor Huff. Would we take a roll, please?
John Dart,
Yes.
Joe Deppner,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. And let's move on to the claims docket for tonight on 11/11/24. Hopefully, everybody on the council has had the opportunity to look at the claims. Any questions? So I'd like a motion to approve the claims for 11/11/2024.
Make a motion to approve the claims for docket 11-11-24.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to approve by Counselor Wanninger and seconded by Counselor Herron. Marla?
Joe Deppner,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger,
Yes.
John Dart.
Yes.
Sorry. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Mr. Todd, has anyone requested to speak this evening?
Nope, not so far.
Okay, fantastic. We will move forward, and so I'm excited to have Danielle Carey-Tolan, our Deputy Mayor, swear in our new city firefighters.
I'll let you guys face the screen so you can see it, and I'll have this so I can see mine. So if you'll raise your right hand, please. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support, uphold, and defend. The Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Indiana. And that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially. Execute the duties assigned to me. As a firefighter for the city of Westfield, Indiana. To do the best of my ability. And always in accordance. With the existence of law and policies. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, I would like to move forward, and we've got Caleb Ernst from the Community Development Team going to give us a presentation and an update on the comprehensive plan. So Caleb.
Thank you, President, Council. As mentioned, tonight I'm here to give a brief presentation on the comprehensive plan update. I want to start by just highlighting where it has been so far. So when we looked at selecting a consultant, we started with a request for proposal back in April of this year. We had a review committee that reviewed all the different proposals in May. We selected a finalist in June that ended up being Rundell Ernstberger Associates, abbreviated as REA. And then there's a contract that needed to be reviewed and approved, and that happened during July and August, ending with the Board of Public Works approving that contract at the end of August. That brings us to REA's schedule for the comprehensive plan. So they're planning 7 different phases for the entirety of the comprehensive plan. The first phase started in September of this year and will last until December. So they are currently working on tasks within that phase that I will cover in just a second. They also just started recently phase 2 in October. So phases 1 and 2 is what we are going to cover briefly tonight on the task, but know that the entirety of this comprehensive plan process started September of this year and will likely end in February of 2026. That is a typical timeline for a comprehensive plan process. So as mentioned, phase 1 is called the baseline assessment, again, running from September to December of this year. This is comprised of 19 tasks. And of those tasks, we have the first 6 of them, so all the way down to task 1.6, that have been completed so far. So just briefly, we have had a site tour, and we've coordinated with REA. We set up monthly meetings with internal staff and external staff from REA's company. We've set up a detailed project schedule. REA's been reaching out, collecting data from us. They've reviewed our existing policies, our programs, other plans that have been previously approved, former comprehensive plans, any other assessments that have happened within the city. They're gathering all these documents, reviewing them, analyzing them before they start diving into the nitty-gritty of steps moving forward in the comp plan. After these steps are completed, and right now I've confirmed with REA that the remainder of the tasks they are officially en route with. So a lot of these studies, the market, fiscal baseline analysis, fiscal audit, residential housing, equity analysis, land use, and other studies and analysis, they are deep in right now. And by the end in December, they will have task 1.19. It's a staff meeting where they're going to review those deliverables. It's my intention to be coming back to the council, updating you with the results from their phase 1 assessment. The phase 2 assessment, as mentioned, started in October of this year and runs to December. Right now, we're in the midst of creating the future steering committee, which will comprise of anywhere from 10 to 15 members. So this, in addition to focus groups that we'll be creating throughout the process, that REA will use the steering committee essentially as a sounding board for their progress that they make, so that way the community has a voice at these meetings. In addition, the focus groups are going to be used strategically for opinions on specific topics. And similarly, task 2.7 is when REA will give a review of phase 2, entitled Local Capacity Building. And just as a recap here, 7 phases, they're all entitled something differently, but just to run through briefly, January of next year to March is when they start identifying the vision for the comp plan in the community and identify values that the community will identify as well. During phase 2, at the end of phase 2 and phase 3 is when there will be the heaviest public engagement component to this. Phase 4, from March to September of next year, is when REA will create a draft plan. Phase 5 will be finalizing that plan in October of next year. Phase 6, November to January, is when they are preparing for adoption. That's when you'll be seeing that comprehensive plan come to you before you here for adoption consideration. And then phase 7 is February of 2026. That's when REA will essentially be handing over the final physical and digital copies of the new comprehensive plan. So in short, that is what I'm here presenting tonight. It's just a brief overview of where we're at, what's to come, and all of the phases. I will make a note that throughout all of this, REA will be reaching out, as well as all their subcontractors as well. Orion Planning and Design Group, Urban 3, Lockmuller Group, and Shannon Creative. Those are all subconsultants with Rundle Ernstberger. So if you see any email coordination from them, you should see my name copied on the email as well. But just know that that is part of the comprehensive plan, and it is a legitimate form of communication for all of you. So I will take any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Caleb, you talk about a steering committee. So the steering committee will be made up of city employees as well as residents, I would assume? Are there residents on that, or are they on the, I guess, the focus groups or the subcommittees?
So it is going to be a combination. Staff is not going to sit on the steering committee, but we will be part of that process. So we'll be in the same room, kind of monitoring and evaluating, proctoring, if you will.
Okay.
But to answer your second question, there are going to be a different diverse makeup of the steering committee, representing members of the community, business owners, investors, all different. The idea was to create a broad network of people to sit on the steering committee, so all parts of the community are represented.
And that selection process is going on now? Is that
We're finalizing it now, correct?
Okay.
And 3 city councilors will be sitting on that steering committee as well.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank you, Caleb, for spearheading this, because I know that you're just a wealth of knowledge and information, and you're a great asset to the team. So thank you again for this, and looking forward to diving in with you.
Thank you.
Caleb, one more question. So there was discussions early on that, to delve into a comprehensive plan would take a long, long time, which this looks like it. So are you going to deep dive into every part of the comprehensive plan, or are there certain areas that you're going to deep dive in? Is this going to be a complete overhaul of the plan? Is that maybe an overuse of the word, but?
Right, I understand your request,
Yeah.
yeah. Currently, right now in the phase 1, that's what the assessment generally is going to reveal. So at the end of phase 1, December, probably January, and when I come back, that'll be the definitive answer, whether or not it's looking at the entire comp plan, redoing it, coming with a new one, or just touching up parts of it. That's what REA is evaluating right now.
Okay.
So to be determined.
Other questions from the council? Well, thank you for the work that's already been done, and thank you in advance for the work that's going to be done. There's a lot of information that's going to need to be have a deep dive on. So we appreciate everything your team and the rest of the city is doing. So thank you.
Yep, welcome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a recommendation from the Audit Committee regarding an outside auditor, and to present this evening is Tanya Hyatt.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Hyatt, and I'm member and chair of the City of Westfield Audit Committee. Mayor, members of the council, and clerk treasurer, thank you for the opportunity to present this evening regarding outsourcing the City of Westfield's annual financial audit, as permitted per Indiana Code 5-11-124.4, to a qualified accounting firm. This code permits the legislative body of the city to select a qualified, certified public accountant from the list per the recommendation by the Audit Committee. As you may recall, earlier this year, July 8th, 2024, this council approved Resolution 24-126, establishing an audit committee and approving the request for the State Board of Account to authorize the city to opt out of State Board of Account examinations and engage in professional services by a certified public accountant to conduct an examination of the City of Westfield's finances. Members of the Audit Committee are Kurt Beyer, who is a certified public accountant appointed by the council, Counselor Waninger, appointed by the council, and myself, who is appointed by the mayor. The Audit Committee, per Indiana Code, issued an RFP to solicit accounting firms to submit qualifications for such audit services following state statute for such solicitations. These firms submitted RFPs for the request of all who meet the conditions of the requested information for the RFP and are in good standing with the Indiana State Board of Account. The Audit Committee, after thorough review of these proposals, ranks the audit firms as follows: Forvis Mazars, Crowe LLP, and Baker Tilly. Therefore, we ask the City Council to consider a motion to approve the Audit Committee's selection of Forvis Mazars and recommend the City of Westfield to enter into negotiations with Forvis Mazars for these professional services. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Questions from the council? Well, Tanya, thank you very much, as well as yourself and the others who are on the committee for reviewing the 3 requests for proposals and in doing the due diligence to select Forvis. We're going to, so you're asking for a recommendation from the council, so Marla, I'd like to take a roll on this and ask for that.
Sorry, can I just add in real quick? So
Yeah.
basically, the statute says that the audit committee ranks and recommends the 3, and then the council would select a CPA and negotiate a contract with the CPA. You guys also have the ability to designate someone to do those negotiations. It just can't be our fiscal officer. So if you want to, instead of you guys entering into the negotiations as a council, you can select a designee to do those negotiations on your behalf.
That designee can be either another council person, somebody on the committee, or someone with the city?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, and that's at a later date from here, or?
We need a resolution for this?
No, I would say it's just a motion, it would be a motion to select and to authorize negotiations on behalf of the council with anyone that the council designates.
Okay. Clear, everybody clear on that? All right. So we want to drive a motion for what we just talked about, and a second on that. Yeah, to restate that one more time, please.
So it would be a motion to select a CPA, whichever CPA that the council chooses based on those rankings, and then designating someone to negotiate a contract with that firm.
Caitlin, this is Patrick. Tam, we can also designate a counselor as well as a staff member from the mayor's office. Would that be correct?
Yes, the only regulation there is that it just can't be our clerk, treasurer, or controller.
Correct.
No other limitation.
I understand that. So I can make, I'd like to make a motion that the city enters into contract negotiations with Forbes for the audit committee's recommendation. And I would like to put forward both Councilor Waniger, who serves as the chairman of the finance committee and also on the audit committee, as well as Kelly Kemper, who works in the mayor's office administration for finance, to finalize negotiations with Forbes for the purposes of conducting the audit.
There you have it.
Second.
Okay. Marla?
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger,
Yes.
John Dart,
Yes.
Joe Deppner.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Tanya. Appreciate it. Up next is Kayla Arnold, our Director of Communications for the City of Westfield, with a DORA update.
Good evening. Kayla Arnold, Director of Communications. Just wanted to give a quick update as we have a resolution on the agenda to add an additional permittee later this evening. So we were officially, you can go to the next slide. We received our approval on October 28th from the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, which we are very excited about. With that, we will officially launch the DORA, the Downtown Westfield DORA, in mid-January. There are several things we need to do to make sure we stay compliant, including installing signage, working with all of the businesses to get them their, cups and signage, all of those good things. So this is kind of what we've done so far. So we have a logo. We've ordered the boundary signs, which are part of what we need to have installed throughout the boundary area of the downtown DORA. The posts have been installed. The signs we will put up in January. We've ordered decals, coasters, DORA-specific cups that are on order, and then we'll also be setting up a storefront for those businesses to be able to reorder cups. So it has to be a specific cup, and so we are working with a vendor that does this for another DORA district in Indiana, and it's a very seamless process for them, and there are the minimums are very low, so they don't have to order 50,000 per restaurant. So we're excited to be able to have that for them. And then, if you want to go to the next one, just some things that we will be doing in terms of marketing and education. We'll meet with the permittees along with the Westfield Police Department just to go over what the rules of DORA are, how they can responsibly participate as a retailer. We'll have informational signage that we'll put up through the downtown area that'll have a QR code on it, so it will link to the DORA website, which will have a video of how to enjoy safely, along with the boundary map, the participating retailers, and kind of the do's and don'ts of the area. We'll also do some marketing with some local influencers about how to enjoy responsibly. This is typically done in some other communities that we've researched, and it's been very successful. So, and then we'll also do some social media boosts. We'll include in our spring and summer advertising and in our newsletter, all of the forms of communication that we have. That way people understand it and know how to enjoy it responsibly. So happy to take any questions you might have.
Just a thought, maybe put the QR code on the cup.
Yes, it will be. Great question.
And not on the bottom. And
Not on the bottom. It's on the back.
And I assume they won't be red Solo cups.
They are not red Solo cups. They are clear, compliant cups.
Other questions?
Kayla, this is Patrick. I think the influencer marketing is very, very smart. We have several key influencers that are also Westfield residents, which I know you work with and communicate with. Just based on my day job, I get the reports of that type of reach and the power of that. I greatly just compliment you and your team on continuing that type of work and effort here too.
Thank you.
Could you remind us which other Hamilton County communities, cities are also approved DORA?
So Noblesville has theirs approved. Carmel applied for one about a month or two after we applied for one, so I don't think they've received, they have not received their approval yet. And then I believe Zionsville is also, while they're not in Hamilton County, just right next door in Boone County, they have applied for one as well.
All right, so there's not a lot of learnings that we can gather at this point from any other.
Not from Hamilton County. So
Correct.
we've talked with
Yeah.
Noblesville. They haven't seen, any change in kind of how people are enjoying downtown. So just the retailers and restaurants have talked about how it's been kind of a great boost for some of their local events that they do through their Main Street program.
Great, thank you. Other questions? All right.
Great,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much for the update. All right, moving on to old business. We've got ordinance 24-65, the Maple Knoll PUD amendment. And presenting this evening is Ryan Collingwood from the Community Development Team. Ryan?
Thank you, Councilman Dart.
Yes.
Thank you, members of the council. For the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item before you is a proposed amendment to the Maple Knoll Planning Development District, in which was originally established back in 2004 as Ordinance 04-02. The subject parcel is approximately 34.3 acres in size and currently holds the Maple Glen Elementary School and existing transportation center as seen within the provided vicinity maps. The amendment proposal is to consolidate various school functions on the property. The proposed ordinance would allow the schools to expand and renovate the existing transportation building on site, as well as construct a new freestanding building on the property to help combine school resources. The item had its public hearing at the November 6th APC meeting. After minimal discussions, the workshop meeting was waived, and the item received a 6-0 favorable recommendation at the November 6th APC meeting. Matt Skelton of Church, Hiddle, and Antrim is present this evening for adoption consideration, and he is available for questions. Thank you.
Questions from the council? Yeah, Ryan, at the October 28th presentation, a lot of great information was exchanged, and I think we're all pretty clear on this ordinance. So I would like a motion to approve ordinance 24-65 Maple Knoll PUD amendment.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 24-65 Maple Knoll PUD amendment.
Second?
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilor Waniger and seconded by Councilor McCarty. Marla?
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger,
Yes.
John Dart,
Yes.
Joe Deppner,
Yes.
Noah Herron.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Fantastic. Next on the agenda is ordinance 24-66, the Lions Team PUD amendment, and back up at the podium is Ryan Collingwood.
Thank you, Councilman Dart. Members of the council, again, for the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item before you is a proposed amendment to the Lions Team PUD. and which was originally approved in 2018 as ordinance 18-11. The subject parcel is approximately 0.1 acres in size and can be seen in more context within the provided location map exhibit on the screen. The amendment proposal is to allow religious and church uses respectively onto the property. The original Lions Team PUD established only office uses to be permitted originally. The item had its public hearing at the November 6th APC meeting. Again, after minimal discussions, the workshop meeting was waived and the item received a 6-0 favorable recommendation at that November 6th APC meeting. The item is up for adoption consideration this evening, and I am available for any questions. Thank you.
Questions from the council?
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yep. So with that, I would like a motion to approve ordinance 24-66, Lions Team PUD amendment.
Motion to approve ordinance 2466, Lions Team PUD amendment.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilor McCarty and a second by Councilor Waniger. Marla, back to you.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Patrick Tam.
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger.
Yes.
John Dart.
Yes.
Joe Deppner.
Yes.
Noah Herron.
Yes.
Chad Huff.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right. On the agenda, we're off to some new business now, and presenting Resolution 24-152, the DORA designated permittees, is Kayla Arnold.
Kayla Arnold, Director of Communications. You have in front of you Resolution 24-152, and this is just a simple resolution to add Green Tino's, which is located at 110 South Union Street, to be designated as a designated permittee as part of the previous resolution that was passed to establish the DORA district. So happy to answer any questions, but it's pretty straightforward.
So my questions are, when the original ordinance was approved, there was a list of
Correct.
retailers that were on that list, right?
Yes.
And moving forward, anytime we add a retailer, does it come back to the council?
It does, yes. We plan on doing that on a quarterly basis if we have anybody to be added to the list.
What happens if maybe there's a violation or number of violations and you take somebody off of the list? Does that have to do any, I mean, do we get notified of somebody being removed, or is it just additions?
This is just additions.
Okay,
That's how the initial ordinance was written.
okay.
Is it for the building or for the person or the company inside of the building?
It is for the person who holds the alcohol permit from the ATC. So it would be the restaurant owner or the retail owner.
And so this is the, yeah, thank you for putting up the current,
Yes, so this
Dora.
is the updated map, which would include Green Tino's as number 10 on the map.
so was that, okay, the outline was not changed, though, just?
No.
Okay.
It's literally the only change was to add number 10 Green Tino's and then add their pin on the map showing their location.
And if we choose to expand the DORA district, that would come back to the council as well?
That would. So each municipality is allowed 7 DORA districts within the city. So we did this with future planning in mind, but there is the opportunity to add additional districts throughout the city if we wanted to. And that would come forth in front of council and would also go through that initial process through the ATC as well.
So you could expand this district, and it would be considered one of the 7
Yes.
additions?
My understanding is yes, but we don't plan on expanding this particular district.
Right, you could select 6 different locations within the cities, likely what.
Yes,
likely
yes. So
what
you
will
could
happen.
do somewhere on the north side, somewhere on the west side, wherever we would want to add those.
Got it.
Just to expand on what John was saying, to the extent that it would be extreme measures, but if somebody was in extreme violation of this, obviously each of these individuals petitioned to be on it. Who's monitoring that, or who's petitioning for us to remove it? Obviously, we have the ability to do that, but how does that get before us?
I think that would be more of an ATC and a liquor license permit violation that they might have. So I would imagine that would be worked through the police department if there are numerous violations, and then would have something to do, typically goes in front of an alcohol board where folks would either, be suspended or, put on a plan type of situation.
Okay, so there's nobody from the city that's essentially,
Patrick might be able to chime in since he helped write the legislation.
Yeah, what would happen, Counselor Deppner, would be if there was significant violations, excise can always investigate any permit holder at any time, which is the state excise police, which is through the Alcohol Tobacco Commission. They then would have a hearing at the local ATC, local board hearing, which would be done in Noblesville. The mayor has an appointee as well for the city of Westfield's local board. So when the board meets, they also have local boards for both Carmel, Noblesville, Fishers, Westfield, et cetera. If they would be found in violation, they could immediately suspend their permit. Like Kayla stated too, they could also have other matters, fines, all those types of pieces as well. Our local police department can also obviously inspect any type of business at any time for any particular reason. And that would be a different legal matter outside of the ATC. However, the police department can also forward cases or findings of fact, what have you, to the local ATC board, which would then also would be fed up to the state Alcohol Tobacco Commission as well, which they could also potentially lose their entire permit and their business livelihood, at least for the alcohol purposes as well. I don't know if that answers it, but it's a pretty regular process.
I might be getting too far in the weeds here, and Patrick, we can discuss, but I understand that this is a local ordinance. The Dora district is a local ordinance. How does the excise come in to enforce a city ordinance? You know that,
Well,
Patrick?
Yeah, they still have to comply with the state law. We're taking advantage of the state law, but they still have to comply with all the legal requirements, which are actually state. This is just a geographical district that allows those businesses to operate or participate in a DORA. But state excise can also complement our local law enforcement as well. And that's what they're doing in Fort Wayne and Fort Wayne and Noblesville and other communities already have these. It's just complementary in terms of, because even the cups, where you can go, the signage, the ATC will work with us to make sure that people are complying with it, which makes it a better environment for permit holders as well as our residents as well.
Thank you, Patrick. Any other questions from the council?
Do we need to look at more like trash cans in certain areas throughout downtown?
Yes, that's part of our overall plan.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Kayla. So with this, we would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 24-152, DORA designated permittees. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 24-152, DORA designated permittees.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve by Councilor Herron and a second by, yes, Councilor McCarty. Thank you. Marla, back to you.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Waninger,
Yes.
John Dart,
Yes.
Joe Deppner,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to ordinance 24-69, Park and Poplar PUD. This will be presented by Dane Crabtree, who's from our Community Development Department, and this is the first reading.
Yes, and as this goes through the process, Lauren Gillingham-Teague will be the staff planner on it, but she's in Dallas tonight, so I'll do the introduction here. The item before you this evening for first reading is the proposed Park and Poplar Planned Unit Development, which would encompass approximately 11 acres of real estate currently zoned a mix of general business, enclosed industrial, the Grand Millennium Center PUD, and the Grand Junction Plaza PUD. As the petitioner, Old Town Companies, will explain in greater detail, Jeremy Lawler specifically, the project is proposed to rezone the real estate to allow the creation of a mixed-use district, including structured parking, a hotel, office, and retail space, multifamily dwellings, townhomes, and a public plaza. The project is scheduled for a public hearing at the December 2nd Plan Commission meeting, after which it will continue through the zoning process. And with that, I will hand this over to Jeremy Lawler so he can make his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Crabtree, and thank you all for the opportunity to present this evening. Again, for the record, Jeremy Lawler with Old Town Companies, as the petitioner for this redevelopment. As you can see here in yellow, it is the subject site property. It's approximately 9 acres of actual redevelopment area. There's a couple acres of regional intention that is in that original exhibit, but is not intended to be impacted by our development. To orient you, it is bounded by Westfield Boulevard on the west, Park Street to the north, and the Anna-Kindle Drain or Grassy Branch Creek to the east. It's currently zoned enclosed industrial, has a piece that is Grand Millennium Center PUD, and then the Park Street in the Junction Phase 2 is also included in this subject project area. The surrounding zoning includes the Grand Junction Plaza PUD and the Union Street Flats PUD down here. Dane did a nice job of summarizing the development, but I'll walk through quickly a few other things. So vehicular access will come from Westfield Boulevard. This would be a full access entrance aligned with the Grand Millennium Center entrance. And then north of that, there will be a right-in, right-out entrance into the parking garage in this location. Pedestrian access to the development, obviously off of Park Street into this plaza area, and then the Midland Trail, as well as the Midland Trail from this direction coming through. There are 301 multifamily units. 247 are in the larger building, and then these, which are labeled townhomes, are actually brownstone apartments. There are 54 units in these 5 buildings. We also have a boutique-style hotel, and this office retail building is 15,000 of retail on the main level. We have an additional 5,000 of retail in the larger building, and then 15,000 of office above. Parking structure is 523 spaces currently. That may grow up a few depending on how things change as we redesign, actually lay out the parking internally, but that parking accommodates everything needed for the development of the large multifamily building. These multifamily buildings are all surface parked, also accommodates the needs of a future hotel, as well as the office retail space, and then accommodates an additional 120 to 150 public parking spaces at all times that will help support Grand Junction and the general downtown parking need. So to walk you through the character exhibits, to orient you, this is Park Street, so you would be standing at Park Street looking into the plaza area. So imagine you're right here looking into the plaza area. This is a public space completely. We're working in partnership with the city as they redesign Park Street to include this plaza space as a part of that overall concept in order to ensure some fluidity between the two spaces. As you can see here, you have the 2-story retail office building, ground level retail, upper level office space. The hotel you can kind of see over here in the corner, and then in the back you have our multifamily development. This 5-story section wraps the 6 stories of parking with this primary pedestrian entrance and exit into the plaza. So imagine if you're coming to any of these businesses, you would park in the garage and walk out into the plaza space through this pedestrian entrance. This is if you were standing basically at the library looking south down Westfield Boulevard. As you can see, we have primarily masonry on the exterior with some additional metal and fiber cement cladding along the top. Again, you can kind of see a snapshot of the hotel in the corner here. This would be the, if you were looking northwest from the Greenway. So imagine you're standing right here, looking at this back side of the building. Is intended for this to be a passive green space amenity for the development, more of an active green or active amenity space in this courtyard. So think landscaping, pool, grills, things like that. And the inside walks through the interior amenities, so fitness center, workout classrooms, et cetera, into a more passive green space area out there. So imagine you were standing in the wooded tree line. This is what you would be seeing. We clearly will add some additional landscaping as we go into design there, but you can see the parking garage over here on the left. And then this view would be standing behind Greeks, looking to the west. You can see the hotel in the background, our multifamily here on the left, and this is the retail office building with these kind of balconies overlooking the plaza. All of these apartment units also have balconies that will overlook the plaza. This is a less refined rendering of the brownstones. So having met with a few of the council members, it seemed very important that there was more masonry on these. The original concepts had less. So in order to be able to accommodate that, we changed the plan a little. Originally, there were 7 buildings here. Now there are 5, but they are 2-unit buildings each. Served 2 purposes. Number one, it created efficiency and costs so that we could keep rents at a reasonable market rate. And then also there is a large detention swale all the way through here that accommodates the detention requirements for Westfield Boulevard, as well as some other developments to the northwest. Having this surface parking area will allow us to encapsulate that drainage in this space here. So back to these, as you can see, there's a primary entrance on the main level in the front facing Westfield Boulevard with a small balcony above. If you can imaginary line right through here, this is one, what I'll call brownstone townhome building. And then when you look in the rear, you have the entrance to the ground level 1-bedroom apartment. The original zoning petition did not have this courtyard enclosure, so we've added that to create a more of a private entrance for this backyard or this backdoor space, as well as some outdoor green space that these units will be able to benefit from. And then the upper level is a two-bedroom, 2-story apartment. Happy to go into any more details that you would like to hear and answer any questions that you may have at this time. We'll be heading to Plan Commission here in a few weeks, and we're planning on following the normal project course through workshop and et cetera. So.
Jeremy, we talked today, but I just kind of wanted to make a few points.
Mm-hmm.
The current state of the city as it pertains to apartments that we currently have and are currently being built, I think they need to be used sparingly. Obviously, a good use is in a mixed-use building. I think that's the most appropriate place for apartments at this time. I think functionally, your project does exactly what we need in the area with a hotel, retail, office, some residential. These buildings here, I think these would be better served as single-family residences, more traditional brownstones. I think a for-sale product is better there. I don't see why those need to be for rent. I just think it would be better for the city along that corridor to have owner-occupied houses. As for the apartments and the mixed use, I don't think you have many amenities in there. Is that correct?
We don't have them designed yet, but this entire courtyard is amenities, and then the first 2 levels of this space right here is amenity space as well.
Okay.
I'd be happy to provide some character exhibits of what our amenities are like in our other multifamily developments, but they're very high-end.
Okay. From our talks, I understand there's going to be 700 square foot and 1,200 square foot?
So the average of the units, the studio is a little less than 700, and then 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, but the average square footage of the units is 750.
Okay. Okay. I mean, this is just my opinion. I think that those should probably be a little bit bigger for this area. I think the price points down there in this area is gonna be high anyway, and provide a better product would be more square footage. That's just my opinion on that.
Before you move off that point, so there are brownstone-type units north of Park Street across from Rivet, right?
Those are townhomes, yeah.
Those are townhomes, so those are
Yeah.
owned units?
Yes.
And what is the, do you know what the size of those units are?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I can likely find out for you.
Okay. Thank you.
For the plaza area, I think we kind of discussed, I think this is gonna be a major thoroughfare coming into this expanding downtown area. And I would just like to see, and I know you said you're working on it, that this plaza area be something very unique as you enter into this area. There's, right now, there's not a whole lot of uniqueness to it. And I think that's the idea when we redesign Park Street and so forth. And I think you've got people from the Monon coming into this plaza. You've got the Midland running right through it. You've got the major parking garage hub. There's gonna be a lot of foot traffic there. I'd like to see something designed really well with that plaza. It's gonna be a major focal point of this area, I think. And that's kind of what I have to say.
Thank you for that input. Question from others? Well, we'll look forward to seeing how these plans continue to progress and move forward as it goes through the APC and come back here hopefully at the end of January.
All right, well, thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, Dane. Okay, we are moving on to ordinance 24-70, Grand Universe PUD. This is the first reading, and I welcome back Dane Crabtree.
Yes, evening council. For the record, Dane Crabtree with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening for first reading is the proposed Grand Universe Planned Unit Development, which would encompass approximately 66 acres and update and amend the existing Lynx PUD, which the property is currently zoned. As the petitioner will explain in greater detail, the project is proposed to split the real estate into 4 sub-areas, as shown on the concept plan provided as an exhibit this evening: a sports entertainment district, a town center district, a resort district, and lastly, the Grand Universe district. A neighborhood meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 25th at the Westfield Public Library at 6:30 p.m. And subsequent to that, the project is scheduled for a public hearing at the December 2nd Plan Commission meeting, after which it will continue through the zoning process. Representatives on behalf of the petition are present this evening and would like to make a presentation, after which they will be available for questions. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Andy Metzel. I'm an attorney at the Taft Law Firm, and it's my pleasure to appear before you this evening on behalf of Grand Universe Development Partners. You can see in the second and third rows that are behind me, we have a whole host of individuals, many of whom probably seem familiar to you, in support of this project. I won't introduce them individually, but if there's a question that I certainly cannot answer, they're here to help and provide some support. I think, thank you, Dane, for your introduction. One of the most important things I do want to reiterate is we are having, and we're very excited about, a neighborhood meeting, inviting folks from the community in to hear more about the project in greater detail. This is going to be a very high-level overview this evening, but in much more detail and answering questions about the vision for this project, November 25th at the library, 6:30 to 8. So we do invite everyone and want them to join, and anybody who's interested. I think that just in describing this project from a high perspective, this is supposed to be an innovative, immersive destination for learning, recreation, and leisure. offering education value and as well entertainment, okay? Local appeal, but also tourism appeal. You have wonderful things that you developed in this city already, like Grand Park, and it'd be nice to be able to keep people over the weekend and provide a destination for kids and families to enjoy, but most importantly, to be inspired and to want to learn. And science and space exploration are at the anchor of pretty much everything that is inspiring this district. The concept itself, Grand Universe, not too new to you. I know that you all have heard that over the years, but there are three components probably to any successful development. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and it's vision, it's passion, and it's know-how. And so these three things are really coming together at this moment for Grand Universe. When you have probably heard about Grand Universe in the past, it has been primarily focused on a single building for space and science exploration. That is the building, and if I can use this mouse, whoa, it is right here. That is really the catalyst to this development. That is the primary focus for phase one of the development. But I want to talk with you a little bit about the vision component here. So this has started over 12 years ago, I think even longer than that from some folks who are seated behind me. With the Grand Universe concept. I've heard one of the board members actually reference that the superpower for this team is tenacity. So they have hung in with this project in whatever form that it's taken over the years, and now we're finally getting to this point where we really do have this know-how and this collective force developed. It's taking the love of, like I said, space and science to a whole new level. Also inspired STEM learning. We hear a lot about that today, but it's incredibly important. The passion component of this, with the folks who are seated behind me, is about education and learning, knowing that the way that you develop our future is developed in youth today. And so inspiring that kind of learning, inspiring that kind of environment. When we talk about know-how, we have a team of 4 generations of builders with the Hagerman Group. We have land use developers. We have folks who have acquired and land acquisition know-how and experience. We have legal teams. We have a whole bunch of folks who have really put a lot of effort in trying to finally get this thing to a point where it can be viable and can be developed. I heard earlier the reference to the Lynx PUD, and so you know that this will actually replace the Lynx PUD in its entirety. And while Lynx was approved back in 1990 and 20, the real purpose for that, even though a Grand Universe type building was planned for that development, was focused on motorsports, a racetrack, and team locations. And so for a variety of reasons, none particularly relevant today, but that didn't happen, not the least of which I guess are COVID, right? I mean, the tremendous impact it had on development. And Westfield has had the good fortune of seeing sort of that impact going away, because you're seeing a lot of development, a lot of momentum, construction, financing, workforce coming back, which is a wonderful thing. And that's probably how we get to where we are today. So replacing the Lynx, replacing it with what is called the Grand Universe District, and that is the amalgamation of all 4 of the districts that Dane touched on briefly. I'll go through those a little bit. He did say this is about 66 acres to be developed in its entirety. It would be in phase development. Primary phase 1 is that space and science exploration building called the Johnson Hagerman Center for Science and Space Exploration. That is the catalyst for this development. Once we get that building going, then the hotel development along the Monon. As Dane had mentioned, up at the north is 191st Street. The property is bounded by the Monon Trail on the left or your west, and then 186th to the south. With the redevelopment that is on the horizon for Chad Hiddle, that will definitely impact access into the site, as well as traffic flow for the entire community, because you have roundabouts in place now. Tomlinson would eventually be vacated and become what would be known as Grand Use Boulevard. That is contemplated as part of the PUD, but obviously working very close in tandem with your Department of Public Works, with your planning and zoning folks, with everyone in the city of Westfield, to make sure that road closures, any kind of vacation that would happen seamlessly as possible. We all know when you're dealing with road construction, no one loves it, but everyone needs it, right? So I want to talk briefly about the districts themselves. The Grand Universe District, like I said, that one at the south where the arrow is, that is where the Johnson Hagerman Center for Science and Space Exploration would be located. It would have multiple observatories on site, really state-of-the-art type of innovation. This is the one they have planned for years and years and years, and would love to see this one come to fruition. Working with even entities like NASA, with SpaceX, to try to get some rocket boosters and things like that that would be displayed on site and be an interactive source for innovation and make people really feel inspired to want to be there. The resort district is the one there in yellow, and as it sounds like a resort district, that would only make sense that it would have the hotel to be located at that district. It would have its own parking. It is intended to be in the center of the site so that folks who are staying there can walk and can function throughout the property and visit the multiple amenities that it has to offer. The sports and entertainment district here to the north is not to compete with Grand Park. You know, I don't want anyone to hear sports and think that that's what the goal is here. We're talking more sports and entertainment, so it is a place to watch sports, to see art, to have entertainment. It is visual component as opposed to playing component. So it's not to compete, it's only to complement what is already existing and wonderful in your community. That area would also have, you can see largely some contemplated open park space here, and would have park space and amenities here to the south that would provide immediate access and activation of the Monon. This is supposed to be a largely walked, traveled, visited area. That's the entire point. So we really want to activate the Monon. We really want people to walk around the property. We want golf carts on site. And so all of those are contemplated in that way. The town center district here would be contemplated for a mix, and I heard some reference this evening to apartment, multifamily type uses being incorporated with mixed use development, and that is exactly what is intended. While we don't have specific numbers of the density, the goal here is to maximize density with a high-quality project that would also complement all the existing areas and the kind of environment that we're trying to attract. It really is focused on space and science learning and is supposed to be something that would complement it. One of the things you'll notice about the PUD that we proposed is that we have a long, long list of prohibited types of uses and uses that are limited in specific ways, and that's attached as Exhibit O. And that's on purpose. We're trying to be very thoughtful about the kind of businesses that would ultimately be attracted to this site and what we would want on site. One being family-friendly, one being community-friendly, but also promoting the unique character of this site and the kind of the intent that is to be fulfilled. I think that it's important that we have included with the PUD a number of illustrative exhibits. And that is to give you all an idea of what would be the character of the site and how it would be developed. And I can scroll through these, I think. This is a better view of just some overhead of the buildings. It can't see the districts as well, but you get the gist. Grand Universe, Resort, Sports and Entertainment, and then the Town Center. We have a number of character exhibits, as I said. I think that what you're going to see when you look at those character exhibits is that we've been working with Browning Day. They are highly recognized and awarded architects to try to come up with the best possible types of architectural design that is conducive to this site. It is more modern and contemporary in theme and in character than you probably would see around most of Westville, but it is all, within the PUD area, and it is supposed to look modern. It is supposed to inspire technology, and these things are all well thought out as part of these character exhibits. The reason that we included them is really to give you a feel for the type and the theme that is to run through the site. There are architectural character exhibits for every single district that we have proposed, so that you can see those in more detail, and I don't need to scroll through them here, but particularly with regard to the park areas, just really trying to use sort of some undulation that's already in the site and is a part of the character with some sort of stream type features that run through it, and really taking advantage of those and making something incredibly beautiful. So not only high-end technology, but commensurate with nature and everything else around it. So really high product. I think you can see a lot of the undulation of the buildings, and the curvature is not something that would be typically characteristic in Westfield, and we are aware of that. We're not trying to go rogue on anybody, but we are trying to build something that is really, truly inspiring and unique, not just to Indiana, but to the United States. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have. We've been very thoughtful in this process, trying to come up with something that we think would really benefit the community. And like I said, be wonderful for local attraction, but also to bring in tourism to your community as well. And that just means investment. The first phase of investment, which would just be the space, I don't want to say just, but it would be the Space and Science Exploration Center and possibly a hotel, estimated at about $600 million. So happy to answer questions if you have them, but, and anybody's welcome to come to the neighborhood meeting.
I had a couple questions. Is there plans to connect, I'm more concerned with the hotel aspect of it, walking through the Monon into Grand Park?
I think ideally that would be wonderful if it can be accommodated. We would, one of the things that we've been very thoughtful about in working with Browning Day is even the facade of any of the buildings along along the Monon to avoid what they call baseball eye and glare and things like that. So we're already trying to take into account being a good neighbor to the park, but it would be wonderful if we can have pedestrian access that would accompany both sides.
I mean, even if your goal is to not have sports families stay at that hotel, I think
Sure.
it's somewhat inevitable, right? And so the ability to walk over to those fields, I think, would be a path or some sort would be beneficial.
Couldn't agree with you more.
The second question I have is the elimination of Tomlinson and then the expansion of Chad Hiddle. Is Tomlinson then going to become a private drive, or is that still going to be a city street?
I think initially it would be a private drive, Grand Universe Boulevard. I don't know if there's been a lot of discussion about turning it back over, but it's, you know, I think that it, what's that?
It will allow for drive-through from 191st down 186th Street. We'll maintain it.
That's what I'm asking. Who maintains it? It's going to be private? Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of special features on site that I think it would be conducive for the Grand Universe District, PUD, to maintain because of signage types things, unique artifacts that would be on site, like a rocket booster. You know, I don't think we want to invite snowplows that might not be sensitive to dark sky lighting and things that we have spent a large investment on to make the site something extraordinary. So.
For the hotel, how many rooms roughly? I know you're probably still in the planning stages, but do you know?
Still in planning stages. I wouldn't want to commit to a specific number. We've tried to build in some flexibility in the PUD, and we're aware that it's not a specific, you know, we can't get granular with you and say it's going to be this many rooms and this high, but we would definitely be making sure that we're getting approvals that are consistent with all of the things that we've submitted with the PUD and working with the planning department on that as well, as soon as we know what it visually will be.
Well, I appreciate how this has evolved over time from, it's like an eye test, better, worse, better, worse. So we've gotten to this point now. I'd like to kind of single out Greg McCulley for his enthusiasm, and his approach in the beginning was more of a marathon. And we've gotten to this point, whether it's past council, this council, and some of the hurdles you've had to overcome. But I appreciate you've always address those hurdles with passion and vigor in that area. I just cannot imagine driving down 31 or up 31 and seeing those large rocket boosters with a module on top of it, what that would look like for Westfield. That'd be really interesting. So look forward to continue working with you through this process and through the APC process as you go through it. Thank you.
Great.
Other questions from the council?
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a unique position because I was on APC when this first came through back, seems like forever now, way back to January and February of 2020. Yeah. And as you alluded to, this has seen some very big changes since then. But as I said then, and I'll say it again, and it's a little bit cliche, but with including STEM into what I call the athletic district, I really put an emphasis on STEAM, you know, science, technology, athletics, and mathematics. And I think both districts will complement each other. Really looking forward to steaming ahead with it. The whole entire project excites me. Absolutely, the entire project excites me. but in particular, the sport entertainment district, because, those that might not be so keen on the science end, even though this is what it'll be catered towards, especially with already having sports there, this provides an opportunity for visitors from all around to come and enjoy sports in a new way. In some of the exhibits that were provided for the sports entertainment district, the potential users there, I mean, it's just astounding. Growing up down 186th Street here, never would have thought that, of course, this would be a possibility, let alone Grand Park. But for this to be coming here, I think we're truly blessed to have this in Westfield. So thank you for coming forward. Looking forward to diving into it at APC. And I'll just make one last note, piggybacking off of Councilor Deppner, is the connection between the baseball side and the districts here. Would love to see an emphasis on that, and then also preserving as much of the trees that are already there. Because I kind of reminisce about, well, during Colts camp, when the players come through the trees, and then you have that massive opening experience. That's kind of what it is here, as whether it be baseball players or other visitors, as they're coming from the sports district to the STEM district, that just opens up their eyes and like, wow, this is a whole nother world right here. So I think that's just a immersive experience that we could provide. So thank you again.
I got one more question. There's parking, I think at some point, underground, kind of quasi-underground, right there?
Yes.
And then there's also the garage at the hotel?
Correct.
And is there parking at the sports entertainment district?
Yes. All districts would have parking.
The garage?
I don't necessarily know if they're garages.
Okay.
In front of Grand Universe, there's 2 stories underground.
That's here. And I think one thing that is notable is, and you mentioned trees, and there is a lot of green space and park-like area within the development that is contemplated, even sort of outdoor amphitheater seating. It brings people together. It allows people to picnic. It allows people to gather in places and enjoy this. But, if they're visiting the Space and Science Center at one moment and they want to go to lunch, they can have a break in between and walk through the property. So it really is trying to embrace the natural components within the area, at the same time being very high-tech and STEM-focused, or STEAM-focused, as you say. Yeah. Recognize.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Thanks. This is Patrick Tam. So on total number of parking spaces in all the districts, what's the anticipated projected number for parking in total?
I don't think we have an exact number yet.
3,690 right now.
For those that are answering questions, I can kind of hear you, but there's a lot of people that watch online. If you could just step to the podium, it's better for everybody, to be blunt.
So the answer was 3,690 if as built out to maximum capacity, which is what we've talked about. But this is Arden Johnson. I'll let him answer.
Yeah, thank you.
And one thing that she didn't bring up in the resort hotel, there is a 2,500-person conference center anticipated to be part of that. And in that one, we have unfortunately, only 590 spaces in that parking garage. And then there's 1,600 in the parking garage of the Space Science Center, and there's ability to walk or take the shuttle to either one of them.
And then Arden, I believe too that you even have some natural landscaping design around the one center that looked really spectacular. Some of the drawings I've seen, at least. I don't know if you showed those tonight.
I don't know if she has it on her thing, but yes, we don't want you to see the parking garages. Can you flip to the?
Right.
Where is that?
Mr. Johnson, I apologize. Could you just identify yourself a little more clearly so I can put it in the record?
Arden Johnson. I'm the CEO of Grand Universe Development Partners.
Thanks very much.
Let's see.
Because the attention to the architecture piece, I just thought was pretty fantastic, particularly when it even came to parking.
There we go.
In addition to the other efforts.
That shows a little bit of the parking, specifically in the town center. And the reason that we can't really quote how many apartments we're going to have there, the interior of the building will be where all the parking is. So we'll have 5 floors of parking inside. There'll always be public parking on the lower side, but the rest would be all private. We don't want to have everybody at Graham Park coming over here and using us as their parking garage. So it does cost to park at Grand Universe, in our garages. But to facilitate our retail, we will have a couple of floors in each of the buildings in the town center that will be free public parking.
Thank you. And then it was casually mentioned, but I just want to make sure everybody heard it, your total anticipated investment here.
Well, the first two phases is a little over 600 million, and then the second phase is a little over 600 million.
Thank you. 1.2 in my math.
Other questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
The Grand Universe building itself, I know we sort of discussed this in the past, but as far as like property taxes go and nonprofit versus profitability, speaking of the $1.2 billion, the idea here is that the building and whatnot will still be a commercial building, but with a nonprofit layer inside of it. Is that?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
So one of my goals as a counselor is to make sure as a growing city that our roadways get better and not worse. And this Tomlinson works on me a little bit. So when you say private drive, is that going to be no through traffic?
No, it'd be very similar to Carmel City Center. If you go down Carmel along the Monon Trail, it's very tight, compacted. The speed limit's 15 miles an hour, but you can still drive all along it. That'll be the same thing here. It's just to limit the speed of people. You have to understand, we're expecting anywhere from 1.6 to 2 million visitors a year at the Science Center. Majority of those will be children under the age of 15. We don't need cars zipping through there and running over a kid. And as you asked, we want that connection with Graham Park. We want those people to walk over and eat at the restaurants, have a drink at the bar, what have you. And we want everybody to enjoy the green space that we have there, picnic, whatever you want to do. So we want to really limit the amount of traffic as far as speed coming through there. So part of that way to do that on that Grand Universe Boulevard is to do parking on the side. Again, you have cars sitting there. It slows down the traffic a little bit. And that's the other reason we want to maintain those roads, because we'll do some different textures, again, to kind of slow people down. We want people to take time to look at everything as they're driving through there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, counselors, for those great questions. Thank you for the detailed presentation. And as Counselor Waniger mentioned, we all look forward to working with your team to move this project forward.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. All right, the last item on the agenda, if we could pull up the calendar. What we're looking for tonight, this is the calendar for 2025 for the council meetings. And as everyone knows, we have 2 meetings per month. We have gone through this, I think, pretty thoroughly to say these meeting dates don't have conflicts for the most part with a holiday, whether it's a city holiday or a federal holiday. So I think we're in pretty good shape. And if everybody's had the opportunity to review this calendar, I think we'd like to get an agreement and approval from everyone. So any questions before we put this out for vote? Pretty straightforward. So, Marla, could you just ask for a little approval on this?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessary, but if somebody wanted to make a motion to approve it, I'll just note that, and then we can vote.
Yep, how about a motion to approve? Great recommendation.
Okay, thanks.
Make a motion to approve the 2025 City Council meeting date calendar.
Second.
So a motion to approve by Counselor Waniger and a second by Counselor McCarty. Yep.
Kurt Waniger.
Yes.
John Dart.
Yes.
Joe Deppner.
Yes.
Noah Herron.
Yep.
Chad Huff.
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Patrick Tam.
Yes.
So, motion carries 7-0. We have a meeting scheduled for next year. Yeehaw.
Fantastic. And while we're talking about calendars, I'd like to note that there is no council meeting on November 25th. That would be the next scheduled council meeting, but we have moved it out because of the Thanksgiving week holiday. The next scheduled meeting for the council will be Monday, December 9th. Okay? With that, what comments do we have from the city council?
Just do
Victor, yep, Victor's going to give an APC update. I knew that. That's why I was looking the other direction before I got to you.
Yeah, just a quick recap from last week's APC meeting. Two of the items from tonight were on our agenda last week, Maple Knoll and Lions team, and then the other item was Ambrose on Main, and I don't need to get into that right now. So that will be back at a workshop meeting next month.
Any comments from Danielle?
Nope, you mentioned what I was going to say about no meeting next time. And again, thank you to all the veterans that served our great country.
Absolutely. And any comments from Clerk Treasurer?
Well, I was hoping just to make a quick comment, so thanks for your time. I didn't ask the mayor or the communications department for a proclamation, but I just wanted to make everybody aware. I don't ever have a problem sharing this, that I am diabetic. So I just wanted everybody to acknowledge this month that it is, in fact, National American Diabetes Awareness Month, along with World Diabetes Day on November 14th. I was hoping to give you just a few stats so you all take really good care of yourself. There are approximately 537 million adults in the world with one kind of diabetes or another. 90 to 95% of all diabetics are type 2 diabetics. The 5 to 10% remaining are type 1 diabetics, and a very special 1% of the 10% have the kind of diabetes that I do, which is technically called 1.5 or LADA, and it sets in much later in life, but more and more people are getting diabetes. In fact, it's projected that by 2035, 60 million more Americans will have been diagnosed with diabetes. You cannot prevent yourself from technically getting diabetes. It's genetic. But if you are going to be a type 2 diabetic, you can absolutely maintain that through diet and good self-care. If you're a poor schlub like me who just gets dealt a crappy hand of cards, well, you deal with it. But if ever you see me in the summer, I do have both an insulin pump and a blood glucose meter on my arm. Most people always just ask, they're curious, I never mind explaining it. So please be good to your diabetic friends, neighbors, and family members, and just keep them on your mind and in your heart if you would. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Marla. Any parting comments, Patrick Tam from beautiful Las Vegas?
Not at all. Thank you.
It is 5:20 p.m. in Las Vegas, so your evening is just starting.
Yes, a client dinner. Very exciting. Yes.
With that, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn the meeting from Councilor McCarty.
Second.
And second from Councilor Waniger. Meeting adjourned.